This is Tom Tolles, and you're listening to the Tim O and Harley Show. Eat me.
Welcome to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Tim O and Harley Show. I am Tim O. Over there is my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben Hunter-Gatherer Harley. How the hell are you?
Hey. Well, I just got back from hunting and gathering. I'm a little tired.
I'm not really interested.
Just aren't feeling enough, you know?
I'm not very interested in your hunting, but I want to know your gathering. How was your gathering?
Gathering was okay, you know?
Yeah.
But I got a couple buckets, Timo, right?
There you go.
So,
there you go. Always good to have a couple buckets around, you know.
And a mule. And a mule, you know.
Yeah. So your wrestling thing went up on the YouTubes.
Yes. Yes, it did, buddy.
Powerbomb wrestling. I can't. Yeah. Was it the July 22nd? Am I right about that? Was it that?
I think that's when it aired. Yes, it aired on the 22nd. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can also find them on YouTube.
Well, that's what I was thinking on YouTube. That's how you would find the actual video. I do believe it says 722, if I'm not mistaken. If you're not one of the 19 people that live in the Toledo area, you can't just tune in on the television. Then you go on YouTube and find it. They do have their own channel, right, on YouTube?
Yes. Yeah, you can actually go back and find some of the NWA, CIW stuff that I did as well on there, which is nice. You know. But yes, made my glorious return, Timo.
Nice.
And the match seemed to go pretty well. It was chaotic. You know, there was a lot of stuff that got missed, but in their defense, there was a lot going on. So, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know, Timo had a good time. And, you know, they had a promo on there, my first promo in 4 years. I think it went okay. Yeah. Like I said, it was chaotic. Poor Terry Sullivan, you know, and I was yelling. I was screaming, kind of. You could tell the veins in my neck were popping. Right. But poor Terry Sullivan was getting accosted, so he kept, you know, going backwards. So the more he go back, the less you Right. So I'm going to probably have to grab the mic from that punk next time. But I'm glad to see that hippie got a haircut finally.
Oh, yeah.
And, so, but yes, Timo, talking is not the business of pedo or Genghis clown, so I have to step in and try to, you know, do the talking for them. So
it doesn't seem to me like I got a pretty good way with people. I can read people really, really good. It's something you learn when you tour a lot playing music. You got to learn how to read people really fast. And I don't detect that there is a lot of talking your way out of a fight. With those two clowns, I don't think that's how they kind of solve their grievances. No, I don't think so.
Their business is they deal in pain, Tim.
Yeah,
so, you know, and business has been pretty good. So
there you go. Yeah.
Yes, Timo. How should I say it? It has, and so it has been foreseen, and so it shall be written.
Right.
Timo. Yes. Yeah.
Now, when's this free show coming up here? Because I hope that this show will come out before that.
Yeah, August 4th, Timo. Yes, it should come out before then. Okay. So it's a free show. Matthews Ford, Oregon, here in Toledo. Well, that's not Toledo. It's Oregon, Timo.
Right.
So right outside of Toledo.
Right.
You know, but east side.
Let's make sure we let people know it's Oregon, Ohio, not Oregon, Oregon.
No, it's a long.
That's a little out of Toledo.
It's a little jaunt further, but well, depending on where you're at in the U.S., I guess, you know. Toledo might be a long jaunt, huh, Timo? So,
right, exactly.
It's a 1:00 show, free show, which should be pretty nice. You know, I think we are. I know, Timo. We are taking on them punks, Andy Shane and D-Ray 3000. I think he's going under now. I don't know. I can't keep up with them. 2000, 3000, whatever. Right. You know, and they're called Righteous Indignation. So yes, I have a hard time saying their names. So I don't say it too much. They don't.
Well, you're just going to have to take them out. Take them out so you don't have to worry about saying their name anymore.
Right, yeah. But yeah, I was surprised to see our match right off the bat, which was good. I'm glad, So yeah, there'll be some more coming up. I did 4 promos that day, so we got some things cooking. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I appreciate you asking me, Tim. It's been fun. Like I said, watching it again and seeing, I got to get myself acclimated again to where they have everything laid out. After seeing it on film and things. Now yeah, it's actually just inspired me more to do more, and like I said, that kind of, and I know you and I talked about it a little bit before. That was me get my feet wet again, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And from there, I can kind of, take it to the next level and get back into, into feeling a little more comfortable with the potentate hate. I'd ask him out right now, but he yells too much, and I can't do it. It's too early in the morning for all that yelling. And
you got to keep him rare.
Settle down.
You want to see the potentate? You got to get on YouTube and get on the Powerbomb Wrestling channel and watch yourself some Abdullah Farouk, the potentate of hate.
Yeah, poor Terry Sullivan. His ears are probably ringing because that was just a little appetizer to what he gets a little later. So
Well, we shall wait with bated breath. So
damn Sullivan.
So we're gonna do Ben Harley. We're gonna do a couple of short shows here with one official film, and we got a couple of out of town things we have going on and stuff like that. So we're gonna do 2 shorties now. In the history of the Timo and Harley show, we have said before, we're going to do 2 short shows and have come out of it with 2 hour-and-a-half long shows. So, but I don't think we're going to exactly do that this time.
No,
but we have to, the show must go on.
Show must go on.
Yeah. So we have to compromise.
You've been touring a lot,
Yeah. Well, that's true. So we have to compromise a little bit and, kind of pare down the shows a little bit so that we can give you a weekly podcast as promised. So I know they might be a little bit shorter, and we do apologize for any inconvenience that may cause you.
Right. Exactly.
If it works for the cable company, if it works for the internet companies, it'll work for the Timo and Harley show. I can tell you now. So let's see a couple little things, Mr. Ben Harley. First up, real quick, that there is now it's kind of a joke that our good pal Mr. Danny Hicks from the wonderful film Evil Dead 2. Yeah. I don't know if we joke a lot in the show about it, but me and Danny Hicks joke a lot about this. It seems like if they don't release at least 2 different new transfers or copies of Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2, the economy may sink. I'm pretty sure it's part of our economy at this point. They got a 4K Steelbook. 4K.
What's that, Jimmo?
4K?
Lay it on me.
4K is the UHD, the ultra high def. So it's above 1080p. Okay, so 1080p is full HD. And and 4K is, you have to have a 4K TV and a 4K player.
Oh, okay. You're in big trouble.
Well, I've already got them. I've got those. That's what's in my sunroom. So my big TV upstairs is a 4K TV, actually. Okay. I have about 5 or 6 4K movies. I have I think Close Encounters. Yes, I have Close Encounters in 4K. A couple other ones. I'm not overly impressed with 4K. I think we talked about this before when I got this stuff. I don't know. I'm just not overly. Okay. It doesn't do that much to it. When you're taking, I like older films. So yes, if you shoot something on a 4K camera, blah, 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 I'm sure it looks better, but I'm into older films. We're to a point now where it's kind of like, you're just trying to make some money. I believe that the resolution went up to 4,000 to 4K as opposed to 1080. Okay. But how much can your eye detect? And at some point you actually lose a little bit of perceived clarity, a little bit of, sharpness, to the picture and everything. Anyway, that all being said, Danny's like, you're not going to buy that, are you? I said, well, I said, it's probably will. Fuck me. Damn you, Danny X. Damn you. But anyway, since we do have friends in that community of actors in there, then I thought I would announce that there will indeed be a 4K. I don't know who's putting it out. I can't remember that or nothing like that. I just saw, though, a 4K Steelbook was coming out. And also, Mr. Ben Harley, a friend stopped by. A friend of ours stopped by the Dermal Ridge for the first time. That he goes by the name of Mr. Kevin Strange.
Kevin Strange, really? Okay. What did he think?
Well, he was digging the Dermal Ridge. Mr. Ben Harley, apparently we have given birth to the apocalypse of sweat bees out here. It's sweat bee o'clock. Like when you were out here, we had moths. We had a lot of Luna moths and stuff, and coyotes encroaching upon our property. Now it's sweat bees, which I have found out. I have found out are actually called corn flies. Have you heard this before?
Okay. No, I've never heard of corn flies. No.
Well, I do believe this because across the street from Dermal Ridge,
there's some corn.
Is about 20 acres of corn. So I think this might be it. But all I know is me and Kevin were sitting on the balcony, and it became like the Suzanne Summers movie Ants. They were all over us. I was like, gotta get out here. Even Kevin looked over. He's like, do you have this problem often? I go, no, I've never seen these. Get inside.
Run.
Yes. So, but Kevin was he was over talking some shop with me. I think he's doing some things with the old Hack Movies catalog. He's been threatening to do stuff, and he's also threatening to do maybe, I don't want to call it filmmaking, but I think he is going to use his talents as a filmmaker to do something to help promote his books when they come out. And in that, he might get some of the Hack Movies crew and things like this. So they're just ideas right now floating around. Don't hold him to it. Don't send him messages saying, Tim, I said you're doing this. But we were just all over. This is how things get going, folks. You get over, you start chatting, start talking things up, and the next thing you know, you have Ash versus Evil Dead. Right, that's how it happens. So
that's how it happens, brother.
So we'll see how that goes there. But watched a few things, Mr. Ben Harley. I'm going to get moving here. So we do have our shorter show. I'm going to make it shorter. Damn it! I'm going to make. If I have to speed up, our voices. I might do that. I don't know. So, Let's see here, Mr. Ben Harley. From 1972, Angio and I watched the movie from the book by Kurt Vonnegut Jr. Slaughterhouse 5.
Ooh, okay.
Slaughterhouse 5. We watched that starring a Michael Sachs.
Okay.
I can't think of what else he's in. He's a fairly familiar face, but I don't know. And then there's a Mr. Kevin Conway in it, otherwise known as the Barker in the Funhouse, the dad.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, he's in it there too. This is a great movie. It's a guy who is unstuck in time. So what's happening is he's living out different parts of his life all at the same time. So he'll turn around and he's back in World War II. He'll turn around, he's way in the future in some distant planet. He'll turn around and he's in the 70s, let's say, like modern times from when the film was made and stuff. And it's got this real breezy kind of feel to it. You'd think it would be like a real snooty, somber, dark thing. No, it's not like that at all. I don't know if I call it a comedy, but it's definitely breezy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's enjoyable. It's it's close to the same era to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You know, it's got that kind of gonzo kind of feel to it, kind of I don't know, bizarre fiction is what Kevin Strange does do. But it's you know what I mean though. It's in that pantheon of thinking man sci-fi. You know, basically, but it's not like
the stuff that you like.
Yeah, well, it's not depressing. It's not depressing. Where Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is not depressing either. You know what I mean? So it's not. We're not watching the end of the world via disease here. We're just seeing a guy going through something amazing, you know, or whatever. So not too bad. Not too bad. This is something that Angio had heard of, and we were just kind of struggling for something to watch. And I was like, okay,
yeah,
you know, we'll watch this.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, we'll watch this.
Why not?
So not too bad. Let's see, moving on here, Mr. Ben Harley, from 2009. Okay. 2009. Watched a movie called Albino Farm.
Albino Farm, okay.
Starring Chris Jericho?
I just watched some Chris Jericho.
Did you?
Yeah.
This is a Ozarks horror movie, hillbilly horror movie. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess there's supposed to be. I don't live in Springfield, Missouri, but it's in my region. It's like your Detroit or Cleveland or something like that. It's in your region. You're aware of what's going on and stuff. Played a lot of music in Springfield, Missouri. Brad Pitt is from Springfield, Missouri. Yes. So I understand the Ozarks. I understand Missouri and Illinois. Okay.
Missouri?
Spent my whole life here, basically. So apparently there is a legend of an albino colony outside of Missouri. Now, I've heard pinheads. I know that sounds funny, but I've heard colonies of pinheads. We have our own, feral Texas Chainsaw Massacre family legend out there in the woods, or whatever. So, it's that kind of movie. And of course, it's a bunch of city kids coming in, and I think they're doing some kind of college research paper on rural America or something like that, I got to tell you something real quick, Mr. Ben Harley.
Sure. Lay it on me.
Being a guy that, you've been to my house. I spent my whole life. The Ozarks, we called that vacation when we were kids. That was our built-in vacation right there. I think I've about damn well had it with every time somebody with some money and a nice car and an education and an apartment in a busy city, every time they go out into tree-covered area, they're not going to be attacked by a man-eating mutant man.
You sure?
I'm positive. Not every time. not every time. Yeah, not
Most
every time.
times.
Yes. Considering, I got to the point too as a kid, we're watching movies like Just Before Dawn and Texas Chainsaw, and you're thinking, this is great. And it's all, this is my kind of, I love Feral Guys in the Woods, Friday the 13th, this and that. At 45 years old, I'm sitting there going, I wonder if this contributed to our problems in society. At this point, watching these things going, wait a second here. It's like, do you realize that every time they make a movie where somebody goes out in the country, people are either toothless, ruthless, or they're just, they're zany. Both. They're out of their mind. Yeah. Or they're eating other people. It's like, some of the nicest, more down to earth, least insane people I know are riding a tractor right now outside of town. You know what I'm saying? Like the farmers and shit. So it just made me think about it. I was like, and then seeing Chris Jericho, I'm like, Chris Jericho, you are so far away from a rural hillbilly. It's just unbelievable, So,
right.
Anyway. Yeah, I get a little
Canadian.
He's Canadian hillbilly. So it's just something I thought about. I was like, I'm just a little tired of, every time. It's like, it's like, you didn't spend 20 years watching the Jeffersons and they weren't packing heat. They weren't stealing hubcaps. Okay, so not everybody. We had to understand this as well, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Sure. Yeah. So, but I kind of looked at them. That's really that's true. I don't see very many. How many rural movies have you seen that aren't either a horror film or a comedy?
Oh, true. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how many?
Not many. Not many, my friend. Not many. And it was
Grapes
funny.
of Wrath?
I mean,
right. Maybe. I don't know.
Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, sort of. Except she flies around like talking to wizards and witches and talking scarecrows and things like that. I don't know. It was kind of funny to me. It was one of those, I never even thought about that really the whole lot, where I was like, wait a minute, can I even think of anything? I mean, even in that movie Paint Your Wagon, the people just keep breaking out into song and they're alcoholics. So I I mean, there's always something wrong. The only well-adjusted people are city folks. So just
city folk. Oh yeah,
just got to remember that. We got to remember that. Yeah, they're smart. Yeah, they're doing a great job right now. Let me tell you. Moving on here, Mr. Ben Harley.
Yes, sir.
From 1984. 1984.
Ooh, pretty good year.
Starring James Garner. You know where I'm going with this? C. Thomas Howell. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Okay.
James Cromwell. Shirley Jones.
Shirley Jones.
I watched the movie Tank.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I did. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And
fucking great, man. I was like, I actually, Tim Jamison's a big James Garner fan. I actually texted him. I was like, I am watching Tank. I haven't seen this movie for 35 years. It is much better than I remembered. I'm just letting you know because I know you're a James Garner fan. No reply. So no reply. But no, I remember this when I was a kid. I'm sure you do too. It's all over cable and TV and stuff, right? And I forgot. I pretty much forgot this whole movie. I kind of thought the movie was centered around C. Thomas Howell. It is not. It's around James Garner way more than I thought. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was good. I got a kick out of coming back to it for sure.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Long time.
Me too. So I would recommend going back and seeing it. I think it holds up. And once again, Mr. Ben Harley, once again, we got people with a lot of trees around their houses, and they're nothing more than bigoted, just redneck motherfuckers, right?
I believe it. I believe it. I know.
Yeah,
I've been around.
Yeah. Now, this movie does have someone who I would like to give a little honor to, and Miss Jenny Lee Harrison. She was the middle third gal in Three's Company.
All right, yeah.
So they started off with Suzanne Summers. They ended up with Priscilla Barnes. But there was that one girl in the middle there for like one season or something like that who was blazingly hot.
Yeah.
Hot. I never thought Priscilla Barnes was hot. Okay, I thought Suzanne Summers had a spunky hotness to her or whatever. But I thought that Jenny Lee Harrison was hot. Hot. Yes. So anyway, but so that was fun. I did. I liked going back and watching Tank. It was fun. Let's see here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out too.
I think you should. Yeah, it's not really easy to come by, believe it or not, anymore. I have it in a full frame DVD, which is I don't even have it in widescreen, but it looked good though.
Wow,
it did look good.
Yeah.
I didn't really notice anything getting cut off, so it could be a matted film. And I could be seeing it in full frame. Anyway, I don't know these things, but I just was looking at it. Let's see, Mr. Ben Harley. Watch this one. Now, this one here, the rest of them I just watched on disc, okay? Just let people know. This one I watched on Amazon Prime, okay?
Okay.
It's a movie called The Cokeville Miracle.
Okay.
It is a movie that is concerning, in Cokeville, Wyoming. So in Cokeville, Wyoming, at an elementary school, a guy came in there and his wife, I guess, they came in with a big bomb and a bunch of guns, and they held all the kids hostage for $2 million a head in the school. Yeah, and so the bomb went off. I don't want to tell the whole story, but the bomb went off, and everyone survived except the two people that held the school hostage. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And the kids afterwards claimed that angels saved them. Like they physically saw angels that were helping them and going so here's the good thing. Okay. This is my kind of faith-based movie. They don't mention a faith. They just present it as what the kids saw. There's very little, making a point that you need to be a Christian.
Okay.
Like, have you read your Bible today, Murray? Like Murray's friends get shot in the head by gang members, and the wife goes, instead of the wife going, do you need to see anybody? Going, have you read your Bible today, Murray? Because the Bible is Jesus Christ, and through him, he is your savior. This is not the way people talk. It's not a good way to get people into the flock at all. We've talked about this. They don't see it from their side. They don't see it. It's not it's like people arguing politics. People they change their mind on their own. Yeah. Not via an argument. You already decided. So the Christians have already decided this. It's not the way to do it. This is the way to do it. It's just a movie. It's a true story. And the main character, the guy, I guess the male lead, he's a sheriff who is, let's just say he is lacking faith at this moment. Sort of closer to the movie Signs with Mel Gibson in it, where he was an ex-priest, so it wasn't really a faith-based movie, but it had it in it. in a way. So he is the person who investigates the claims of the children. And so through that, he starts wondering if there is something there to angels and things helping out. I actually thought this was a really good movie, especially for a Christian movie. And then I found something out. It was produced by the Mormons.
Oh, no.
So you can imagine that I'm sitting there going, I can't believe that one of the very first Christian style movies I've seen that I think really does it right is produced by Mormons.
Poor Tim.
There's not a bunch of cringeworthy. There's just not a bunch of cringeworthy preaching in it, though. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Bravo. Good. Give the devil's due. Ironically, the Mormons they did it right in this one. Anyway, yeah, yep. Let's see. Let's move it on here, Mr. Ben Harley. Moving on. Anyway, again, the Cokefield Miracle. I'd watch it. I'm not telling. I'm stumbling over this because I don't want people to think I'm preaching to them or against them or anything. Sure. I'm trying to say
you don't want to give too much away.
I don't want to give too much away. It is a faith type of movie, but it's not beating you over the head preaching to you. This is a true story that kids said happened. Okay, so it wasn't like a bunch of born again Christians saying this. It was kids. And they all saw the same thing, which is very strange. There is also a story about that in, where was it? Joplin, Missouri. Joplin, Missouri had that real big tornado. And a few years back, it was a natural disaster tornado. A huge tornado came through there. And there was people talking. The little kids said the butterfly people helped them. And these are kids all over town. Right, all over town were saying it. The Cokefield Miracle thing is very similar to that. Very similar to that story. So it's not as much faith-based as it is questioning, wow, are those angels or spirits helping you? You know, it does make you question that. So anyway, that's what it's all about. So
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, not bad. On Amazon. On Amazon. Okay. Let's see here, Mr. Ben Harley. Here's one. Okay, I'm gonna lead out with this. Watch the documentary. This is for my pal, the Potentate of Hate.
Oh, all right? Nice. Yeah. All right.
I watched the doc, and it's a good serious documentary, but it's one the Potentate when he's hiding from the public and he's not screaming at everybody could watch. It's called the Valhalla Club documentary. It is a bunch of
Vikings.
No, it is veterans. It's about veterans who have post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Okay.
Who use professional wrestling as their way of coping.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So the movie is it's just a short documentary, very, very disjointed documentary, but the subject matter is almost impossible to ruin. You know what I mean? So, but it's just them talking about, and what's cool about it is they're talking about their time in the military and their time in the ring. And so both of them are very fascinating. And, you know, always hearing guys that'll open up about their war stories, you go, oh, God, geez.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All the bad stuff.
You feel for those guys. Yeah.
Right. So they talk about all this bad stuff that happened to them and then how much professional wrestling helps them. It's an outlet for them and things like that. So I thought you would get a kick out of it. It is on, not a kick out. You find it very fascinating and very good. It is, again, called the Valhalla Club documentary.
Okay.
The Valhalla.
Is that on Prime?
It is on Prime.
Okay,
just went up real recently from 2017. So check that out, Mr. Ben Harley. And now let's check out what do you got? What do you got from this week?
Yeah, Tim. You know, I'm gonna stick with a theme this week. I got a couple things, and we'll be revolving around our friendly neighborhood bear, or
bear?
Yeah, well, not friendly. Bear. For some reason, I've been on a bear, grizzly, and other bear freak out here lately. So my man Timo sent me. You know this guy. He sent me a disc called "Man in the Wilderness." It has a couple of my favorite things in it, which one being Richard Harris,
right?
A grizzly bear and the wilderness,
That's right.
and so
where all the crazy people live and eat other people, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I watched Man in the Wilderness, which Timo, what is it? The new movie Resident, right?
The Revenant.
Resident?
The Revenant.
Revenant, yeah.
Yeah, the Revenant,
the Resident. Whatever, you know.
Close enough.
Whatever.
Why not?
Tomato.
Yeah,
right?
what does the title mean these days anyway, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Ask Marvel. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Anyway, So I watched Man in the Wilderness, which is like you were telling me, kind of a remake almost of Man in the Wilderness.
Right.
So
it's the same story, same true story. Yeah, based off that. Right.
Yeah. Now, when I got into it, I kind of vaguely remember stuff, and mostly it was the ship being like on the wagon. They're going fur trappers, right? And they're going trying to get to I can't remember what river, but take the boat and sell their wares, right?
Right.
So yeah, I vaguely remember that beginning with the boat and stuff being on the wagon and stuff. But getting into it, I really didn't remember too much after that. I might have come across this movie once or twice, maybe. But anyways, I enjoyed it. You know me, I'm not much for the CGI and stuff, but I will have to say the bear attack in The Revenant was much more powerful than the bear attack in this movie. Well,
I can imagine. Yeah.
The guy in the bear suit, okay, he tried. All right, he tried.
Right.
And I know they tried to keep him out of frame as much as possible, but it gets a little hokey, you know. But
Showbiz Pizza only lets their employees gone for so long with their costumes. You know what I mean? So it's the guy had a finite amount of time to look very bear-like to get on Richard Harris. You have to understand.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I do. I do.
Right.
I know. But I've seen enough bear suits. But the rest of the movie's pretty good. It really does revolve around him just trying to get better and get back, because they leave him. The party basically leaves him there. They leave two guys there to kind of help him, but then they leave him too. They're like, he's dead. So, but he's not.
Right,
and they leave him, and so the movie is really him trying to find them guys again, and then he does at the end, and there's an Indian fight, Native American fight, there at the end, a big one, and the ending did kind of throw me a little, but I did like it. I thought it was okay, but I was glad I watched it, and I've been meaning to. Yeah,
so, I haven't watched it yet. I haven't sat down and watched it, so I don't know if I've seen it before.
Yeah.
Because I haven't watched it now. Because it would be a movie I might not remember the title of. You know what I'm saying? Like a movie you just come across on TV and watch. It might be one of those, because I know a lot of people have seen this movie. And I know it was a pretty popular, pretty big movie when it came out. Not unlike The Revenant, but also not unlike The Revenant, it seemed to just disappear. It was like it's popular, then it goes away. At least that's my sense of things. So I need to get to watch it too myself, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a little slow, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was good. I like Richard Harris, Yeah, so pretty good. Pretty good, buddy. So sticking with my grizzly bear thing here, I watched a movie that you and I reviewed here recently. I think it's called Into the Grizzly Maze.
Oh, yeah.
Into? Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Watched that again. Stars, Scott Glenn and Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the other gentleman's name.
Is it James Marsden?
I think so.
Is that who it is? I'm only guessing. I can't remember exactly. But
I can't remember either, Tim. I'm not real good with that.
I thought it was him. So yeah.
Did enjoy going back and watching this movie. I think it's a really good film, especially coming out of the genre that these come out of, you know what I mean? Or the people who make these movies. I think this one is a really good shot at one of these movies, you know what I mean? It is, it's not quite grisly to me, but it's pretty darn close. It's got some good stuff in it. My only real problem with it is, Billy Bob Thornton. He's okay in it. And he's trying to be like, kind of a Quint type character. Mm-hmm. But it just looks like he came right from what he was wearing when they picked him up off the plane. And then they finally said, Billy, you got to look a little different. So, okay, well, they gave him this, coat.
Right.
That, to wear like a cowboy coat. But the thing looks so clean. If this guy's supposed to be a tracker, one of the best trackers, this thing's too clean. I mean, it looks like he just got it.
Right.
You know. And he walks around, with his horse. And I don't know. I didn't really, that's the one part I really didn't like about it. But going back and watching again, there's only a few CGI moments. The rest of it's pretty much practical, with the real bear. And that's a big big bear. You know, I mean, huge.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really good. I enjoyed going back and watching it. There was a couple scenes that I forgot about that were really good, you know, and I thought it was a really good movie. I enjoyed it. You know, so shouldn't say I was surprised. I think we both, when we watched it, we kind of liked it.
Well, it's kind of like, it's as close, as far as how much it's similar to Grizzly, it's as close as these dumb reboots and remakes are to their source material as it is. I don't even know if in English terms, I don't know if I said that right. What I'm trying to say is that as far as how similar it is to Grizzly, it's just as similar as the Friday the 13th remake versus Friday the 13th. It's sort of got a few hints of it. And I do remember there is a scene, I think with Billy Bob Thornton, that is it's almost a direct remake of that scene where Richard Jekyll, as the tracker in that movie, gets buried or something, gets attacked and buried by the bear. Yeah. And he plays dead and stuff. I think there's a scene that, if I remember correctly, that is reminiscent of that at least. Yeah, kind of. I know he does get attacked by the bear, then he does come back, you know, after the attack. But I don't know. If a lot of that fell short, I think if he would have, you know, he could have come out looking greasy like he usually does or something. I don't know. He would have done a little bit better, you know. Talking about French fried taters. Yeah. So that was, but it was pretty good. I'm glad I went back and watched it. Now it's a movie that I will watch and recommend to people too. So nice. Let's get to our official film for this week, Mr. Ben Harley. Again, it's only one official film. Got kind of a truncated show here due to some out of town stuff and everything else we have going on. So now, Mr. Ben Harley, last week we reviewed the movie When a Stranger Calls. Now, I think I might have been a little hard on some people who like this movie. So I was thinking about it, and I have to proof listen to our show. And then I read the reaction online and stuff and everything, and people send us a note or whatever about whatever we're reviewing. Yes. Okay. And I'm sure people, after they listened to what I had to say, might not have been like, you know, the most up on Timo at that point. Look, that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. You're not an idiot if you like the movie. That's all. What I get bothered by, again, is people who seemingly haven't seen the film for a very long time or don't really know it, who think they do. Okay, that's my problem. And the other problem was I don't like how it was sold to us. So if you like it a whole lot, that's great. That's great. I'll even give credit to a movie I can't stand, which is Shape of Water. I didn't say it was a horror movie. They didn't. Yeah. Some of us wanted it to be one because it had a fish man in it. Okay, sure. But every time you have a fish man and a woman in a movie, there's a high probability for a love to break out. Okay, apparently, from what I know. Right. So, but I just kind of wanted to clarify that a little bit. So we did talk about When a Stranger Calls, and I got on the movie pretty hard, and I stand on what I said, but understand I didn't mean it to, you know, call out anyone in particular. Gotcha. Yeah, except for the people advertising the film for the most part, and the posers and the posers out there saying that, you know, not understanding it. Anyway, all right. I kept talking about when we were reviewing When a Stranger Calls that I liked the sequel better. That I thought that it was a better written, not as tightly made, not like maybe not the budget and this and that, but it was just a better story. And I kept saying When a Stranger Calls back. So we are going to deliver on the Timo and Harley show, and we are going to talk this week about the sequel to When a Stranger Calls. It is titled When a Stranger Calls Back. Yeah. Look out, my man. Okay, so let me get you a plot line here. Now, I do have a bought copy of this, so I do have a box in front of me with the plot lines. Now, it's long as shit, though. I mean, it's just long, and it doesn't really make any sense. I'm going to give you, since we all kind of know When a Stranger Calls Back story, all right, or When a Stranger Calls story, I'm going to give you just a real short little rundown here that they have on IMDb real quick. So let me get movie guy out, so we'll get started there. Here we go. All right. A young babysitter, all alone in the house with two children asleep above, is bothered by a stranger. Unfortunately, the phone's dead. Okay. I just needed to read something. It's protocol for the show. Okay. This is almost like, let me give you my little summary of the film. This is basically a reimagining, if you will. I'm going to use a buzzword for today, of the original When a Stranger Calls. However, instead of wondering where the calls are coming from, more or less, or this and that, you know where the guy is, you just don't know where he is. Right. Does that make sense? He's in the house and you just don't know where he is and how he's there. So it's a little bit of a other side of the coin. Yeah. From When a Stranger Calls. It's not telephone calls. He's there. He's there. He's there. There's no phone. I mean, he's there. Well, they have a phone, but she's not, the phone ain't helping her at all. You know what I mean? It's got nothing to do with that. So there is an actual bodied person that is there spooking her out while she's babysitting. And a guy comes up and says he broke down. His car broke down. He says, you need to help me. Can you open up? Can you let me in? And as an intelligent babysitter, Jill Shalin, who plays Julia Jens in or whatever in this movie, she's like the star of it. She will not let him in. So she's doing all the right things, basically. So the movie opens just like the other one does. It opens with the babysitter and she gets terrorized. And now in this movie, though, the children, I'm not going to give anything away as far as how the original or how the beginning goes down, but it is very similar. Except the children are not killed. They disappear. Yeah. They just disappear. After this event, she goes to college. This is a couple years later. All right. And then things start happening in her apartment that make her think that someone is getting into her apartment. She goes and tells the cops. The cops have to call Carol Kane because she is now working with the police with victims of some sort. And Carol Kane knows because of your record and stuff. She knew that Jill Shalin was coming and had an event extraordinarily like her own that she had the previous. So Carol Kane believes her. Nobody else really believes her, really wants to help her. There's really not much they can do. So Carol Kane calls in our pal, Charles Durning. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Charles Durning. He doesn't have to run so much in this. Does not have to run. You're right. Yeah. This film, once again, is directed by Fred Walton, who did the original film. And it was made in 1993. And I do believe, I know it's made for television, but I do believe it was Showtime that it came out. Yeah. On Showtime. So that's a setup, a little wordy. I wasn't feeling any of the synopses or plot summaries I was feeling. So that was my clumsy one. It's not a very complicated film, but it is intriguing and it is complicated. What the hell's going on? It's one of those what's going on movies, but it's linear enough to make you really compelled. This is not a movie where something horrible happens and then you just are introduced to the killer and he walks around getting offended by people for the next hour, which is what the original film pretty much is. This is something totally different, much darker throughout the film, basically. And you're not being asked to sympathize with the villain in this film. Which I'll always appreciate. So now, Harley, I know I've seen this quite a few times. You've seen it too, right? Have you seen this before? Yeah. Okay. But it's been a long, long time. I barely remembered anything from this film. And going back, I really, really enjoyed the first 20 minutes or so a lot. I mean, because it kept you on pins and needles. That guy's voice, I just didn't even like his voice. And it wasn't threatening. It wasn't overbearing. It wasn't creepy. It just was, I don't know. It just, kind of saccharine. Yeah, it just, but the more that he kept coming back, and you're like, no, man, I can't help you. Right. What she kept doing is he'd say, can you call the auto club? And she would act like she was calling, but then she wouldn't. And then he'd come back and say, well, I've been waiting. You didn't call, did you? Yeah, I called, and then he would get more menacing as it went on, which I thought was great. I really, really enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. Now, the second half, when Ralph Macchio shows up, he's in this, right? Because it looks an awful lot like Ralph Macchio. I didn't even know it was her in it. I thought it was Ralph Macchio for about Jill 25 minutes. Yeah. Really? Just like Ralph Macchio. Well, she went from, this little, babysitter, really cute pixie looking thing to the next thing she did. She went
like I thought it was Ralph Macchio.
Well, you get Joel
Ralph Macchio? Wait a second. No, that's not.
She did have a mullet of some sort. I'll give you that. So I mean, I don't remember Ralph having one of those, but she did have a mullet. So we'll just go there. You call a mullet a Ralph Macchio. We'll leave that.
All right. Yeah. So the second half of the film, I did kind of like, but my problem, I guess, with the movie is Carol King. I just don't. Kane, right?
Yeah, Carol Kane. Yeah.
She just, I don't know, doesn't come across to me like she's not bad in it, but you're supposed to be kind of somewhat of a badass in it. I don't know. I do like the gentleman, and I appreciate like what you're saying. It is a lot linear where, okay, this guy is, you don't know much about him. He's still kind of in the shadows and things like that. He's not walking around begging for money or food and things,
right.
So there is a part where he does like a ventriloquist dummy act, which a la Magic, which we just watched, which I thought was funny, and which is a really crazy part. It's really crazy,
right?
I did enjoy that. I thought that added a lot to it.
Yeah.
And then he's being pursued by Charles Durning through this and Carol Kane, but actually Charles Durning catches up to him at that performance.
Right. Right. Ironically. Yeah.
Yeah. And he runs away. And it was funny because he's like painted like all dark, all black.
Right.
For the stage. And I thought that part also was quite intriguing because when he's chasing him, he's hiding and, all you can see is like his eyes,
right.
and stuff. And he's hidden. And you don't want Charles Durning to go down this alleyway.
No.
It's kind of creepy. Okay.
Right.
I'm on board. All right, so then he ends up getting to Ralph Macchio's character, right? She ends up, yep.
Jill Shalin. Ralph Macchio. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Jill Shalin from Curse 2.
Yeah. So he finally catches up to her, gets her, and then from then on, it's basically Carol King is going after him. And then, Timo, I was kind of in until there's one part in the film that lost me. And there's a part. Should we give this away, Tim? I know you say it's been out since 93.
I don't want to give. If it depends on what you're going to give away.
You want to give this away, Tim?
Well, let me pick it up. Okay, yeah. You got. Let me. So basically, what you're talking about is that instead of the movie cutting basically right to the killer and following him around a dingy New York, you're following Charles Durning, who's trying to figure out what happened and how it happened. It's not so much who did it; it's how. And that to me was so much of give me something for my brain to chew on. I don't care about who it is as much as how. And
sure.
I don't know if is it the how? Is that where you get lost? Is that where it lost you? Where they kind of showed the how in a way, like how he was doing this? Is that
a little bit? Yeah, there's.
See now, hold on. Okay, so I just hold on. So the how he did this and how he was doing this means something different in 1993 than it does today because how he's doing it is much more common today. The technique he is using. Obviously, they kind of let you know ahead of time he's doing some ventriloquist stuff because she thinks there's more than one person there. Okay, now you got to remember the opening. There's someone outside the door and someone apparently inside at the same time. Now, how does this happen? How do you do this? And by the way, when he comes out of at the very end of the beginning part, when he comes out walking toward her, that's pretty spooky. That's
for sure.
Who the hell is that? Yeah. The shadow's coming after me. What blew me away about it was a simple fact. I couldn't figure it out. Like when I watched it in 1993, I could not figure out how the hell the guy was doing it. When they showed it, I was like, you got to be kidding me. But I did it in a way where it was like, okay, but they just showed it. It's not impossible. He just did it right in front of you and you didn't see him. Right. You know what I mean? And so to me, that was a great revelation. And at least it was a twist and a revelation so that being drugged through to the end, you wanted to know that answer. Now, if you didn't like the answer, at least it was drawing you through the film to get to that answer. I mean, it's a mystery will always get you to the end. Sometimes you like the end, sometimes you don't. It blew me away. It absolutely blew me away when I saw it. I was 20 years old. I could figure out the mysteries easy as hell. I could not. The only thing I knew is that there was something to do with that window that was open from the original scene, because Charles Durning kept kind of egging on this thing. It's like, why was the window open just like 6 inches? Not like enough for a person to get through or anything like that, but it was only open 6 inches. And he kept, and then he would go to he found the killer's house, his apartment, and he got into it. So he kind of was figuring out who the killer is, what's going on. He didn't believe there was more than one person, so he started searching around for ventriloquists, which I give him a hell of a lot of credit. I wouldn't have thought of that right away. That was pretty good. So he does finally catch up to who he thinks it is, and when he breaks into the guy's apartment, he finds Polaroids of Jill Shalen's apartment. I do believe the house from the beginning. Yeah. He finds pictures of that. So the pictures are the key. He's breaking into a place before he does his dirty deeds and takes a picture of the room and then has to reset up the room just like the picture to make his technique work.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, that was amazing because the technique he was using was not as commonplace. And I do not really want to give it away because it is on Prime and stuff. And there ain't no reason to watch the damn movie unless you do, what I'm saying? Unless you don't know. But the technique he uses, it makes so much sense today that I was actually concerned watching this with Angie. She'd figure it out because of just what's going on today. And this is something you see at conventions, like all this other stuff. So I was a little concerned she would figure it out. She did not. But still, I do look at it in a way where it's it's a bit of an eye-rolling thing, but you can't sit there and go, oh, that's impossible. Come on. It's not. It actually makes total sense, and it's hidden from you the entire film, unless you remembered it.
I like the ventriloquist stuff. I appreciate that. My thing is, the main end, there's 2 parts at the end that just really kind of poured water on the fire for me a little bit. And I couldn't get around it. I could not suspend disbelief. And it hurt for me. So I don't want to give it away, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm an artist and I know what it would take to do what he did.
Right.
And I just don't think it would have worked. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
but hey, there it is.
I don't disagree with you because I thought that too, except for the fact it did in front of your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not a special effect. It's not, it worked in front of your eyes. And we've seen this technique blow our minds away, right? Yeah. I don't want to say how it does, but come on. I mean, you really think that's real when people do that. You know what I'm saying? You really think that's really there and stuff. So on the other hand, I see where you're coming from, but as time goes on, that becomes a lot less eye rolling to me because of what I've seen from 1993 till now. So for me, it's more believable now than it was even then. But I think Fred Walton took something he saw that was amazing to him. He must have seen that, what his technique, what he's doing. He must have seen someone doing that in some kind of show or something like that and took it and absolutely took it. Yes, it would take a whole lot. But Mr. Ben Harley, and I'd hate to pull the rug out from you, we are talking about a ventriloquist child-stealing murderer.
Right,
okay?
Right. So he's got nothing else to do.
He's got not really he's definitely a lot more dark and evil than the gentleman from the first film.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the other thing that really gets to me. I mean, when Charles Durning goes in there and sees pictures of Jill Shalen in her hospital bed. Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's just so much stuff like that to me, it's much more of a even thriller. Where I think When a Stranger Calls is very uneven. It's all over the place. It doesn't know what it wants to be. This movie knows exactly what it is. And takes you on a ride. It doesn't cheat anywhere. The only thing is it has a couple of pitfalls that the first film does is that's not much of a motive You know what I'm saying? Like there really isn't a good, and you don't really know who this guy is. And that's very similar to the first film. However, instead of just watching the guy go around and feeling sorry for him, you're scared of him.
Yeah.
You don't know where he is. He could be anywhere, literally anywhere. And within the realm of the film, he could be anywhere. Of course, he has to set this up for a long time. We'll give that away. Whatever he's doing, it takes it. He ain't doing this in 5 minutes. Let's put it that way. It's taken him quite a while to pull off the sleight of hand that he's doing.
Yeah,
you know, and you know me, Harley. I love that stuff.
Yeah,
I love the sleight of hand. I love being. Because I hate being tricked and stuff. You know, but then again, in a movie, I love being tricked because it meant it did it to me. Now, when I saw it the first time, it tricked me, and I never forgot it. Never forgot it. And to me, the testament to this movie, why I like it more, is the first one, I look at my watch. Or I look at the clock when I'm watching it. I'm like, oh, God, the beginning's over. Just get it over with. This movie, I don't do that. I enjoy the whole thing because it's more even.
Sure.
And even if I know the end of it, well, I know the end of Psycho also.
That's true.
You know, so I can get through that. So getting through it and knowing it, and then seeing the different pieces of the movie, I have a ball watching it, knowing how he's doing it, and watching the film, seeing if I can catch anything, seeing if I can see something change, if I can see something. Since I know the mystery, are they showing it in the background of the film and stuff like that? Yeah, so that I get a kick out of it. I really do. Is it the greatest movie ever made? No, but it's one of the most memorable movies for me in my life because of that very end when the eyes open. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man. At first I was like, wait, what? Because I didn't know the technique existed.
Right.
I didn't know this. I knew there was something. I did not know that specific technique existed in 1993. We all know now. But so I was like, what? Wait, hold on. Hold on. And then when I saw, I was like, well, now what I will agree with you is that I think Carol Kane is a little over the top with her machismo in the film. And this was 93. It was, you know, tough women were in vogue. It was getting there. And it's still in vogue to say, finally, a tough woman in film. I'm like, God, you can go back to the 20s and find this, you know, come on. But
tough old broads. Yeah.
Like, come on, this isn't anything new. There's tough people and wimpy people of every gender, creed, whatever, and all these films. But this was definitely a tough woman movie, you know, which is fine. And I mean, I think it played off pretty well. But that's my assessment of it.
Sure.
To be honest with, that's why I like it more. That's why I don't like the first one as much as this one. Now, I'll complete, and I have been admitting the budget's not there. The production values are not the same.
Right.
It looks a little brighter because it's in 1993 and not 1979. So it's not as grainy. It's not as this and that. I also will say that the stream they have on Amazon is fucking horrible. It's horrible. I got the DVD. I don't know if I sent that to you. Yeah, but the DVD looks much better than the stream. I'm embarrassed by that stream or whatever. So anyway, that's my diatribe on it. That's why I think it, I don't know, great bait buff for me. Not like the hugest thing or anything, but I like this a lot better than the first one. From beginning to end, I'm much more riveted and entertained and interested in what's going on. So that's my thing.
Yeah. I'm just going to have to give it a real tepid. I love the first 20 minutes. Absolutely. Just seriously. I like the first 20 minutes of this almost more, probably more than the original. The second half is not that I didn't like it. I thought it was good. And I liked a lot of the parts of it. The ending but I have a real problem with that. And it's not the movie's fault. It's my fault. If I try, and sometimes it's just a letdown a little bit. And I appreciate what that guy was doing as far as what he did. And I thought, man, it's pretty cool. But I just couldn't swallow it. You know what I mean? I just was like, Jesus. But I don't know, Tim. I'm a little bit out to lunch on this one. I mean, I liked it. I thought, it was good, but I know you're completely right, 100% though. It is a much tighter, better film. I think it was shot pretty well too.
It was shot good. Yeah.
It's not bad, And but yeah, I don't know. I just really, really liked the first, once again, the first 20, 25 minutes. I was really intrigued. I was on the edge of my seat. I really did enjoy it. And the rest of it, it was okay. It was all right. There are parts, though, that made my skin crawl, and I do appreciate. I just think, I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Was the second half of this film, the sequel, was it more intriguing than the second half of the first film?
Yeah, for sure.
So you fell apart at the very end for you, basically.
Last
10 minutes, let's say.
Last 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Last 10 minutes, it fell apart for you. Okay.
But that's okay.
Right.
And that's okay. That happens. Some of my movies that I like a lot.
Right.
And that does happen.
I can I can understand that. I can see it. For me, the movie fell apart 20 minutes into the first one. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why I like, and I can completely understand why someone would roll their eyes like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. But I will say, okay, you tell me where it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And you tell me you knew that that's what they were doing, especially when you saw it in 93. You tell me that, then fine. So for me, it was a win because they did the movie did its job. It kept me interested through the whole thing, kept me guessing, and then surprised me.
Sure.
And that's what it was supposed to do. And for a made for Showtime, I mean, come on.
Right?
We 1993 made for Showtime, not these high value, highfalutin movies these channels put out now. This was not Game of Thrones quality, filmmaking here. This was low budget. And you're right. I also agree with you. You're right. I don't mean to say it wasn't made well. They had obviously less resources, I think, to make this film than they did the first one. But all right. Well, you're just going to kind of very mildly. I think I think it's kind of obvious we're both following this. So, and I'm just going to give it a regular grape ape up. Don't get me wrong. I'm not overplaying my hand on this film. I'm just saying that this is why I like it so much more than the first one.
Sure.
And to be quite frank with you, I'm not alone because the IMDb rating on both of these films is a tie. Believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is a tie. So I'm not the only one, I think, who feels this way. But I also would say I don't think that you would be the only one to have a real hard time with that ending. And I know what you're saying, how long it would take for him to do that and stuff. What else has he got to do?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, what else? I mean, take his dog for a walk, I mean, go hang out, go bake some pies with his Aunt Myrtle or something. No, I mean, this guy's clearly has issues. Let's put it that way. I thought even some of the stuff where he was performing was creepy. Like the backstage stuff and everything, So I just think it's a way more of a solid film. So, and I do see that. Yeah, the end's always a crapshoot for people. You never know.
Sure.
So, but all right. Well, you're going to go very mild, I feel you, but the end just like it hit me the wrong way this time. We'll put it that way. Okay. And then I'm going to give it just a solid grape ape up. I think it's Far Cry. Better than the first one. Let's put it to you that way too, without being disrespectful to the first one's place in history. And people who genuinely like it as for what it is, that's fine if you like it for what it is. I want it to be something else as far as the first one. I want it to be this one. I want the first one to be this one. That's why I like this one better. So there you go. All right, Ben Harley, let's get out of here next week. I think we're going to talk about the ladies next week. The ladies.
Yes.
And Jack Elam. And Jack Elam. Ladies and Jack Elam. That can't be good. Whatever's going to happen there. So anyway, until then, Mr. Ben Harley, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com. Your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.